Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Come on in and have a seat, and let's get ourselves together for this very important discussion tonight. I hope we have had an awesome day today. Today, today's Palm Sunday. Did everyone have a wonderful Palm Sunday? I know there was a 100 Women in White concert at Pleasant Grove today, and I'm sure a lot of people participated and attended that. I hope you all had a fabulous time. And then we had an awesome time at church today celebrating Christ's triumphal entry into Jerusalem. And we're all getting ready for Holy Week this week, and then Easter Sunday, next Sunday. And just a reminder, we won't be here next Sunday because it will be Easter Sunday. We will be taking the day off from Let's Talk, but so everyone can just enjoy, their family and their time together. I love holidays like Easter and stuff, and just spending that quality time with my family. Yeah, I know everybody does, but I just love my family, and the time that we share together. They are my greatest gifts, and I'm just always so grateful for them. And I hope that you guys feel the same about yours, because they are indeed great gifts. Okay, and I hope that March Madness is not preventing you from joining Let's Talk tonight. You can have the television on, you're over there watching the ball game, and then you can jump back to Juju and jump back to the ball game and jump back to Juju. So I'm not that big of a basketball fan, so I don't really do the March Madness. And seems like when I do watch it, I don't bring my team much good luck. So I don't watch that March Madness much. So good evening, everyone. Good evening. This is Let's Talk, this Sunday's edition. And I just want to thank everyone for joining me tonight. Okay. Okay. So, if you're on, if you would please just give me some emojis, some thumbs up, some hays, or some shout outs, just to let me know that you are there. Just to let me know that you are there. Miss Crystal, if you would just join the live, then I can invite you in to the live. So just join the live and I can invite you in. Okay. Alrighty then, so we'll go ahead and we'll get started tonight. Let me see, I'm not seeing any comments or anything up there. Althea Thomas sent me something. Anyway. All right, guys. what I want to see for sure. Okay. 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 Hi Jordan, how's my baby? How's she doing? Hi Jordan, how's my baby? Mr. Jackson, and I think maybe Althea said she couldn't get in. Are we having trouble getting in? Jordan's here. Okay, now Althea is here. Okay, good evening. We're going to go ahead and we're going to get started. Mr. Jackson, I guess you'll try and get back in, and hopefully Miss Crystal Doyle Thomas will come in as well. But anyway, welcome to this week's edition of Let's Talk. I am your host, Juju, and I'm coming to you live tonight from my living room. Each week here on Let's Talk, we will discuss current events and their impact on the Black community. We will also highlight local Black-owned businesses, local entrepreneurs, local artisans, and upcoming events which will give small businesses an opportunity to showcase their products. Let's Talk is created to be a positive, uplifting, and informative discussion. Our constructive opinions are welcome, as we must learn to listen to and consider the opinions of others, even if we don't necessarily agree with them. However, this isn't a place to tear down anyone, but to uplift and to enlighten. Therefore, if your comments are not coming from a place of love and are not intended to uplift, then we kindly ask that you find another forum to express them. Please note that any opinion that I may give is simply that, my opinion. And this is not intended to be a news show, but we will try our best to steer clear of gossip and things that are knowingly untrue. It is my sincere hope that everyone finds this to be a safe place where you feel comfortable expressing your opinions. About your host, I am simply a sinner saved by grace. Every good and perfect part of me comes from God. Therefore, I praise him and give him glory anytime I'm given the opportunity. My motto is simple. I am walking by faith, inspiring hope and showing love all along the way. So hello, everyone. Thank you guys for joining me this evening. We're talking tonight about a killer amongst us, and that killer is fentanyl. But before we get to the fentanyl discussion, we have our small business that we want to promote tonight, and that business is Just Peachy. And let me see if I can see my audience. Okay. Let me go back. Let's see. Okay. Okay, I see you on here, Miss Crystal Doyle, but for some reason, it's not allowing me. Let me see. It's not allowing me to. I don't see you among my audience. So what we'll do, Miss Doyle, we'll go ahead and get started with the discussion tonight, and then hopefully it'll allow me to bring you on at the end of the show, hopefully. Mr. Jackson, also, you may need to go out and come back in as well because it's not showing you either. And so I won't be able to pull you in when I get ready. But anyway, so let's see. Let me see. Okay, I see Mr. Jackson. Let's see. Okay, Crystal Doyle Thomas. I see you there, but I don't see you there. But we'll try to get back at you. I don't know why this thing is acting crazy tonight. But anyway, we want to go ahead and get started with this discussion because it's a very important one. And we're talking about fentanyl. It is a killer amongst us. And so this is a very important discussion that we're having tonight. And I want you guys to feel free to express your comments and your thoughts and ask your questions at any time. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discuss some things that I have learned about fentanyl. There's a wealth of information out there, and so I'm going to share it, share what I have, and if you have questions or comments or want to share anything, any information, just feel free to post those comments. And of course, as we always do, we will try to make sure that we address your comments as we move along. Alrighty, so what is fentanyl? Okay, fentanyl is a synthetic opioid, and it is used in patients with chronic pain. It used to treat chronic pain for conditions after surgery, or perhaps if a person has a advanced stage cancer or things like that, people who are dealing with extreme chronic pain. Fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine and 50 times stronger than heroin. So it is a very, very powerful drug. And the way it works, it binds to certain receptors in the brain that controls emotions and pain. And it leads to a spike in your dopamine, which makes a person feel good. You get that high from your dopamine. And it leads to a rush of euphoria, or that feel good, happy feeling. And this is what makes fentanyl so addictive, because once a person comes down from the fentanyl, they have the pain again, but they also are generally depressed and sad, and they can only, over a period of time, they can only feel that happy, that euphoria, if they are on the fentanyl, if they have taken the fentanyl. And then also the body quickly builds up a tolerance to fentanyl, and so that means that a user would need to use more and more and higher doses to achieve that desired result. And then we say that fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. What exactly is an opioid? An opioid is a class of drug that is used to reduce pain, and the ones in the natural form are derived from the opium poppy plant. And these common types of, and I'm sure you've heard of them, like oxycodone or Oxycontin, hydrocodone or the Vicodin, morphine, methadone, and methadone is usually used to treat drug addictions. And then, of course, you have the opium and you have the heroin. Those are the illegal forms of opioids. Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid. It's not. It's not manufactured. It doesn't derive from the opium poppy plant. It is manufactured in a laboratory setting. So we are going to see if anybody have any questions or any comments they'd like to share or ask at this time, since we have decided what fentanyl is. Do we have any questions or comments at this time,
No,
Mr.
we do not.
Jackson?
No, we do not. No question.
Okay, all right. So we will move on um, to the difference um, between a pharmaceutical fentanyl and an illicitly manufactured fentanyl. IMF is how that is really referred to. And one of the common myths about fentanyl is that the pharmaceutical fentanyl and the illicitly manufactured fentanyl are the same, and they are not. Although both of them are considered to be synthetic opioids, the pharmaceutical fentanyl is prescribed by doctors to treat severe pain, especially after surgery and for advanced stage cancer, while the illicitly manufactured fentanyl is distributed through illegal drug markets. IMF is responsible for most of the recent cases of fentanyl overdoses. And the thing about the illicitly manufactured fentanyl is, this is something that people are in their own little manufacturing, probably in the house, making up, mixing up. And a lot of the fentanyl, most of it comes from that we have in the United States, comes from China or from and through Mexico. But the thing about it is, if it's that illicitly manufactured, then the strength is not controlled. The ratio is not controlled. You have what they call the chocolate chip cookie syndrome or effect, when you have that illicitly manufactured fentanyl. You may have some powdered fentanyl, which people are taking, and one part of it may have a very high concentration of fentanyl in it, while the other part may have, if it's laced with, say, heroin, may have just mostly heroin in it. So the ratios are not equal, even with the pills. It's not equal. So the illicitly manufactured fentanyl is very dangerous. There's no, of course, no control on it, no as far as FDA or anything like that. And so it can be very dangerous, remembering that we said fentanyl is 100 times stronger than morphine. And, we think about morphine as a very strong, very potent drug. Um, let's go and see. Does anybody have anything that they want to add or any questions about the things that we have talked about thus far? Mr. Jackson, any questions thus far?
No questions, Julia, but that's a lot of information, and I'm learning. Thank you so much for providing this education. It's very, very insightful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm just flabbergasted. I've learned so much just in the past 10 minutes until my mouth is just open.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. We have no questions. And I just want to make sure that I posted in chat if there are any questions. I'm not seeing anything except for what I am posting. And are you able to see if anyone else is seeing any questions in the chat? I am not able to see them. I did go out and come back in. So I did pose a question if there
Okay.
are any questions out there,
Okay,
because I'm not hearing
I
anything.
do see one question from Miss Crystal Doyle Thomas, and she was asking, is this the medication from the pharmacy? And most of it is not. Most of what is on the streets now is the illicitly manufactured fentanyl, and that is created in illegal drug manufacturing places and with illegal substances. So most of it is not the pharmaceutical part. Now, I will say that the pharmaceutical, the ones that are they are very potent too, and people have died and overdosed from those things. I think the most famous one that we know of is Prince. Of course, we know that he overdosed and died of fentanyl overdose, and his was from the pharmaceutical, the prescription, this prescription one. Miss Lynette, Mr. Jackson, do you see anything from Miss Lynette
I,
Vincent?
yeah,
Because she,
I think I am going to be more than a hindrance than a help. So
okay,
I don't see anything on my end. I don't know what's going on. I've gone out and come back in. So if you want me to, I can go back out and try to come back in.
okay,
What would you
okay.
prefer?
And, yeah, just go out and try to come back in, and we'll do that. But Miss Lynn,
Can you release?
I see your comments. I see you said good evening. Did you have something that you wanted to add to the conversation this evening? If you so, you can go ahead and put it in the chat because um I am seeing your comments. Let's see. Let's see. I do see you, Miss Lynn. Let's see. Hmm. But my thing is, I'll be jumping all over the place. Um, okay. Beverly Christian. So the chocolate chip syndrome means that it has very strength in one piece. Exactly. So you may have, say you're doing I know people sniff cocaine or sniff heroin in the powdered form. And so you may have a line, if you're doing a line, you may have a line of pure fentanyl and then a line of pure whatever they mixed it with. So you never know what you may get when when you are um, when you have that illicitly manufactured fentanyl. But anyway, the forms of fentanyl. Fentanyl comes in a powdered form, and in the powdered form, it looks just like other drugs, like the cocaine, like the heroin, the methamphetamines, and then you have the powder is mixed with other drugs like heroin and cocaine and methamphetamines, and users often don't know that the drug contains fentanyl. Now, sometimes the producer of the drug may add fentanyl into the drug intentionally because, like I said, fentanyl is highly addictive. So if you want to keep selling your product, you want to get your customer hooked. So of course, you add a little fentanyl in it, and then that way you can get them hooked. Um, but sometimes, even the producer don't know that the drug that they sell is having fentanyl in it because they may be producing fentanyl over here and then they're producing their heroin over there. And of course, this type of thing, when you're dealing with drugs, I guess you probably not got the cleanest manufacturing. You don't have to be OSHA approved to create illicit drugs. So sometimes there's cross contamination. Miss Crystal Doris said, is this the type of drug that people can slip into your drink or food? Also, I mean, if someone has has some fentanyl, they can slip it into your food or your drug or your drink if that's what they desire to do, because it also comes in a liquid form. And the liquid form can be put in nasal spray. People put it in nasal spray, eye drops. They said they put it in eye drops, and even put it in paper like candies. And of course, it's made into pills. The powder is made into pills, and it's um, made to resemble other prescription opioids, and people think they're taking one thing and they're actually taking this fentanyl. So yes, it is very dangerous, and you have to make sure that you are careful about what you are taking um, when you are using drugs. Um, Signs of fentanyl use, and I hopefully Mr. Jackson will go ahead and post those, but euphoria is a sign of it. And then after the euphoria, that's usually followed by depression and confusion, slowed or weakened heartbeat and breathing, weakness and trouble walking, stiffness of the muscle, dizziness, fainting, shaking, slurred speech, drowsiness, nausea and vomiting, itching and scratching, pinpoint pupils, hallucinations, urine retention, dry mouth, loss of appetite, sleep problems, swollen arms and legs, paranoia, social withdrawal, loss of motivation. So a lot of bad effects go along with it, but just make sure that if you see someone, one of your loved ones, one of your friends, and they are exhibiting a number of these symptoms, then you uh, can have a conversation with them about drugs. Lynn says, is it true that a small amount of fentanyl that will fit on the tip of a pencil will kill you? No, that's not a myth. That's not a myth. A very small amount of fentanyl, it doesn't take much at all, can be deadly. A very small amount can be deadly. So, what do we do if we think we have a loved one who may be abusing fentanyl? We need to have an open and honest and a non-judgmental discussion about fentanyl and the danger of the drug. It may be helpful if you share some information that you have done your research on with them, or news articles, or provide them with the resources that discuss the dangers of fentanyl usage. Give them an opportunity to ask questions, and very importantly, remind them that drug addiction is an illness and should not be a source of shame. And so, because a lot of times people will have will be suffering from drug addiction, and they are ashamed to or afraid to address that problem or admit that they have a problem with their loved ones, for fear that they will be judged, or for fear that they will be shunned or ostracized. So make sure that you let them know that it is an illness. It is an illness, but there is help for it. There is treatment for it, and you can recover from drug addiction. Um, and then share with them harm reduction strategies. And when they're ready, seek treatment. And we want to talk about some of the idea of harm reduction strategies. Do you think that harm reduction strategies encourage drug use? That is a question that I want to pose to you guys. The idea that we give people strategies to keep them from ODing, to how to use drugs safely. Do you think that those strategies like that promote drug use? I will give you guys time to chime in and to put your comments in the chat. Do you think that harm reduction strategies, providing people with information about harm reduction strategies, do you think that promotes drug use? Okay, Crystal Doyle Thomas says somewhat. She thinks that it does in some ways. Anyone else have any comments on that? Do you think that harm reduction strategies promote drug use? Jordan Ashford says yes. So Jordan, and I'm very interested to hear from young people such as yourself. Why do you think that the harm reduction strategies promote drug use? Why do you think that? Because I'll tell you I that opinion because I was struggling with it because I'm going to give you these strategies, but I was struggling with it myself. And then someone, put it like this. It's just like saying people to use a condom when you're having sex for safer sex. Not that you're telling anyone to go out there and have sex or be promiscuous, but if you're going to do it, then this is a way to be safer. And so I said, okay, that right there makes a whole lot of sense to me. And if a person is doing drugs, the harm reduction strategies will help, is a way to help keep those people alive and hopefully keep them alive long enough um, to get them off of the drugs and to get them recovered from the drug abuse. Um, with Crystal Doyle Thomas, with Narcan, it will be available to assist the user, but without it, the user will do it anyway, whether it is a harm reduction or not. Okay, and so that is part of the harm reduction strategies. Keep naloxone or Narcan readily available with you. Um, Avoid mixing drugs because sometimes if you mix drugs, like if you mix fentanyl with depressants, antidepressants, it can be the effect of it can be far more deadly than if you're using it alone or if it's mixed with something like a heroin or cocaine. So avoid mixing drugs. Test your drugs with for fentanyl before using them. They have the fentanyl test strips, and you can use these test strips to determine if the drug you're using has fentanyl in it. So if you have your heroin that you're doing, or your cocaine, or your methamphetamine, or whatever, or a pill that you're taking, and you're not sure whether it has fentanyl in it, you use this test strip and you determine whether fentanyl is present in your drug. And but you need to make sure that you know how to use these test strips, because you have to follow the instructions very carefully to use these test strips. And Mr. Jackson asked, how do we get the test strips? You can, if you're here in Alabama, you can get the test strips and the naloxone free. Okay, and we will have some resources that we're going to post. But the Jefferson County Health Department has a link, and you have to go on this link, and it's some videos that you have to watch, about 20 minutes combined, the video on the naloxone and how you use that, and then the video on how to use the test strips. Once you have watched these videos, then you can request your free test strips and your free naloxone. And I was talking to a group of young men the other day, yesterday, as a matter of fact, at the barbershop. And one of the young guys told me, yeah, I carry naloxone in my car with me all the time because, you know, he had friends that have died from fentanyl overdoses. So you want to be able to, if someone is OD'd, to be able to assist them. But you keep your naloxone ready, and never use drugs alone. Never use alone, because if you have your naloxone and you're using it alone, you OD, then the naloxone is not going to do you any good. There's no one there to administer it. And if you ask for help if you're ready to receive it. Um, but anyway, let me see. Jordan Ashford said, what's stopping most young people I know from doing hard drugs is the danger and the fear of becoming strung out. Showing how to do them safely might be a thing that makes more people try them. Okay, I see. I hear what you're saying. Um, but there is no safe way to do drugs. I will say that, Jordan. And there's no safe way to do fentanyl. But if you're addicted, and like I said, fentanyl is very addictive. If you are addicted, then we, these are measures to try to keep you from ODing, try to keep you alive until you can be, uh, 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 till you can get over, or be, till you can get over this drug addiction that you are battling with, till you can get off of these drugs. Um, um, Mr. Jackson said one must watch a series of videos. Oh, okay, you were talking about for the naloxone and the fentanyl test strips. Crystal Doyle Thomas said, I have naloxone myself just in case for my community. And I have ordered mine, and I was hoping that I would have it tonight to show you guys. But it is something that the health community, the drug community encourages everyone to have, because if you have your naloxone with you, it is considered to be an opioid antagonist. That means it can reverse the effects of opioids. So it blocks the drug delivery to the brain receptors that absorb the drug in the brain. And then that way it can really reverse the effect of a drug overdose if you have that naloxone. Signs of a fentanyl overdose are a person may be unresponsive, irregular breathing, blue, gray, pale skin color, and very small pupils. If you find someone that's unresponsive, you know they're a drug dealer, they have shallow or no breathing, they have lost their color, they have the dilated pupils, then the first thing you should do is call 911. That is the first thing you should do. And then you should try to arouse the person with some painful stimulants, poking and prodding them and trying to arouse them. If they do not arouse, then that's when you administer the naloxone. um, and the administering of the naloxone, if you administer it to a person, you are covered. That is in Alabama by the Good Samaritan law, meaning you will not be held accountable, say if the person dies or has an allergic reaction to the naloxone or whatever that is. you will not be liable or cannot be sued for it. It is covered under the Good Samaritan law. Then the next step is administer CPR if you know how to do that. If the person does not regain consciousness, you will administer another dose of naloxone, and then you will continue the CPR and, of course, remain calm and comforting to the person and stay with them until your first responders arrive on the scene. So it is um, it is recommended that you carry that naloxone with you. And like I said, you can get it free from the in here in Alabama through the Jefferson County Department of Mental Health, and they have a website where you can go and you can watch the videos, the required videos, and then you can get your naloxone to have it with you, and also the free test strips. Um, okay, let's see. All righty. Mr. Jackson, you have some questions that you want to bring forward?
Yes, we have a question from Lynette,
Okay.
and we have a comment from Crystal.
Okay.
Lynette says, does anyone out there believe that the onslaught of all of these remedies help items based on race? And then let me repeat that one more time.
Yeah.
Does
Repeat that
anyone
question.
out there believe that the onslaught of all of these remedies or help items based on race? That's the question
Okay.
from Lynette.
Okay.
And then we have a statement from Crystal Thomas. She says, it will be a training or way of lifestyle, mental behavior to change users' mindset to test a drug before use. How can we promote this type of education for all?
And that is what we're doing tonight. And I encouraged my nieces and nephews to get these young people, their friends on there, because that is a lot to ask, because with the test strips, it's not just I'm gonna stick the test strip in the powder and stir it around. I got to put the powder in the water. I got to dilute it. I got to turn it into a liquid form. Then I stick the test strip in there. It is a lot. Um, and for a person who is drug addicted, we may think that they won't take the time to do that. But if it saves one life, then is it in vain? And then Lynn, I'm kind of not really clear on your question. Are you saying, are these things being distributed based on people's race? Or I'm not sure, because I can give you some of the numbers about fentanyl. We can look at fentanyl statistics and data. Of course, like I told you earlier in the conversation, that fentanyl is 100 times more powerful than morphine and 50 times more powerful than heroin.
Okay,
Um,
Julia,
mhm.
let me read the question just as she said it. Does anyone out there believe that the onslaught of all of these remedies or help items is based on race? I'm hoping that it's based on race. I think she's wanting to know, for all of the remedies, is it racially based or what?
I don't think it's racially based, because fentanyl actually, the overdose, I posted earlier this week the faces of the fentanyl overdose, and it covers the spectrum. I mean, black, white, young, old, Hispanic, male, female. It covers the whole spectrum. It does not discriminate. Now, I will tell you this, that the Black Americans are more likely to die from fentanyl overdose than any other racial demographic. Although the total number of fentanyl deaths is highest among the white population, white people, but the percentage per capita is greater among African Americans. And then it is also extremely high among Indians and Alaskans. So it does not, the fentanyl, um, the fentanyl crisis, the fentanyl epidemic, it does not discriminate. It's not racially based. However, like I said, the percentage the percentage per capita is greater among the African American community. But let us just say in 2021, fentanyl accounted for over 70% of fatal overdoses, and that would equal to nearly 110,000 individuals. So that is why we have to do something. And if it's trying to get people to use safer, because they're obviously using, if we have over 100,000 dying, and then since the year 2000, more than 1 million Americans have died from fentanyl overdoses. And that is more than have been killed in any of the wars since 9/11. More, a combination, let me not say any one of them, any wars, any combat, the combination of all the combats since 9/11, more people have died of fentanyl overdoses than if we combine all of those awards together. Any other questions or comments, Mr. Jackson?
Well, I was posing something in conjunction with what Lynette was saying. Do you think there's such a huge outpouring of concern and help because it has really affected the European American community, the white community? There has been such a huge onslaught of education, drug education, because I think this has been a drug that's been out there for a while, but since it's affecting most of the affluent, and this is just judgmental, this is subjective,
Mhm.
the affluent white community, we've had an onslaught of
Okay.
what do we do? What
Okay.
do we
So
provide?
I hear what you're saying now. Do you think because it is affecting, but like I said, I think it's just the sheer numbers. This kills, like you said, 70% of the overdoses come from fentanyl. I think it's the sheer numbers. Over 1 million dead since 2000. I think it's really just the sheer numbers. And a lot of I think there have been preventive drug initiatives with other drugs, like when the crack cocaine and uh, epidemic was at its height, and they were giving out the hypodermic needles, but I and free needles to the drug users, so you don't contract AIDS or hepatitis and all of that while you're using. I think there is more of an appetite for these things among other races than Black races. That's my opinion, because we place so much stigma on people who are drug addicted, that crackhead. Um, and we present them in such a negative light and assign so much shame to their disease, um, that I think we don't have an appetite to use these type of things, and we don't have an appetite for informing people about these things, or because we think we're encouraging them to be a crackhead. So I kind of, my thought is, that's just my opinion, that um our conservative nature as Black people, we have a more conservative nature, and that's not how we are represented, but that is the fact. Um, Kind of sometimes prevent us from maybe seeing the person and not and separating the person from the illness. Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Okay. Um, and one thing that I would have surmised to say is we are so blindsided because unfortunately there is a lot of use of fentanyl,
Mm-hmm.
and we're seeing more and more of young people
Mm-hmm.
dying from overdosing, and we don't see it coming until they're dead, because you don't see them acting uh, peculiar or some of these signs. So and we're going to post some resources, but it's very surprising is not the right descriptor. I'm sort of flabbergasted because it's so much information, but there are so many people out there using it and do not realize the danger of this particular drug.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's very, it's the promiscuity behind playing with drugs, and you can try it once and you never see the light of day again, because you can overdose very quickly, because that's what you told us what it does. It makes everything slow down from your heart and all of
Yeah.
that. So this
It
is
it
great
slows it
information.
slows it slows everything down. Um and then also, Mr. Jackson, I think in our community we were blindsided by fentanyl because we look at pill popping as a white problem.
Right. Okay.
We don't take pills. We don't do that. That's not what we do. That's how the white people get high. But that's not the case.
We've got
Jordan
another
Asher
comment
said,
from Jordan Ashford. Okay.
okay, go ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Jordan Asher says, I've heard a lot about lacing in marijuana, which is very commonly used in the Black communities and probably contributes to the randomness of the deaths. I totally agree with you, Jordan. And then Tiffany Williams, she's apologizing if this has already been addressed, but she says she think we're starting to see it in our community because of our young people, um, the young people who are conforming more often to other races. That's a very valid point. So.
And that is an interesting one about drug use.
Mhm.
Um, but I think maybe with the pill consumption of pills, maybe they do get from classmates or friends or whatnot. But I have a question here. Do you think the use of marijuana and alcohol, the what we call the recreational drugs, do you think that they lead to the usage of these stronger, more potent, more deadly drugs like the opioids? And Jerry Lynn has restated her question. Okay.
She said that I perfectly stated it perfectly for her.
Okay. Okay. I know she said in the past they criminalized drug use and they actually put people in jail because of it. And now we're calling it a health crisis as opposed to before. It was just a crime when it involved people of uh, of color, and most people who got punished in jail were people of color. Well, Lynn, I'm going to say this, and this is just Julia. Drug use has never been confined to people of color. White people, black people, blue people, pink people, green people, orange people have always done drugs. And I think what we did maybe was more of the marijuana and the crack when it became available because it was cheaper and something we could afford or black people could afford. I ain't been buying no crack, okay? Um, and I think they did punish uh crack dealers and users more stringently, and that's during the Obama administration they went back and adjusted some of those sentences because they had done that. The drug dealer who sold cocaine got a lighter sentence than the drug dealer who sold crack. um so we know that there is all has always been. We in the black community know that there has always been a separate two justice systems, one for us and one for white America. But I think this is a health crisis. When you see young people, most of the deaths that are from fentanyl are for people from 18 to 45, and then now you have a increase as of late in the number of 11 to 18-year olds who are dying uh, from 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 fentanyl use. So it is indeed need to be treated as a crisis, and we need to make sure that we are letting our kids know, don't take pills from people on the street. I don't even care if they are saying this is an aspirin, because these things are can be something that someone is giving you to get you hooked, or it could be something that they have that they don't even know has fentanyl in it that they're passing on to you. Like my brother Joshua always said, get your drugs from your doctor. Okay, don't get your painkillers off the street. Don't get your painkillers from your friends. Get your drugs from your doctors. And even then, be careful how you use it. Mr. Jackson?
Absolutely. Absolutely, Julia. I cannot believe time is already of the essence. And I have placed some very important information on how to get help. We need to flood our media sources. We need to talk to our friends about drug usage, and it needs to be a conversation that is comfortable for us. So there are a myriad of places that you can get some help. But most importantly, we want to go ahead and make sure that you understand that help is available, and to make sure that we are um, in the time frame. I know that we have a special guest that's going to come and speak to us. We need to highlight that entrepreneur, the small black business, and we want to thank all of you for such an engaging opportunity and the responses. We don't have to allow this to be the last time that we talk about it. So, Julia, it looks like we're going to have to come back and talk about this again sometime down the road, because we just touched just a portion of it. And it's exciting. It's a lot of information. But thank you for your hard work and research and getting the message out. So I'm going to turn it back over to you. But I do have one announcement, of course, June
Okay.
15th, 2024, at St. Luke in Opelika. We are still soliciting vendors and people to be a part of this wonderful opportunity. You'll start seeing invitations, conversation, marketing information sent out to you. So if you know of anybody that has a special gift or a talent they want to share, or a vendor that you want to see at the Juneteenth celebration at St. Luke AME Church on June 15th from 11 a.m. to 3 o'clock p.m., let us know. You can
Okay.
always post to Julia or to myself. Go ahead, Julia. There she
Okay.
is.
All right. Yeah, that is Miss Crystal Doyle
Hi.
Thomas. Hi, Miss Crystal Doyle Thomas. How are you? I'm so sorry we couldn't get you in earlier. But thank you for joining us. And your business is Just Peachy Design.
Yes, Peachy.
Tell us really quickly about
And
Just
your
Peachy.
business is Just Peachy.
Hello, Miss Doyle. Are you there? You froze? Oh, she froze. Oh, well, I didn't see one away. Anyway, that was Just Peachy, and let me see if I can try her one more time. She's not on here. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, I really thank you, and Crystal, we'll try that again. Another time. I'll get you back again another time so you can tell us about your business. I'm sorry. Once we got you in, then you froze. But anyway, I want to thank you guys for having this conversation with me. I do want to say that there are a national hotline, crisis hotline, if you are dealing with drugs and you're in crisis, you want to uh, you want a way out. The national crisis line is 988. You can just simply dial 988 or text 988 for help. In Alabama, the Alabama United Ways of Alabama crisis line is 211. Simply dial 211 for assistance if you're in Alabama. The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SAMHSA, you can contact them at www.samhsa.gov or 1-800-662-HELP. That's 1-800-662-4357. And I'm sure Mr. Jackson has put all this up in the chat. Findtreatment.gov. You can go there to find a treatment facility near you. If you are in crisis, if you are struggling with drugs, if you have a drug addiction, please, please, please reach out for some help. Talk to somebody. Let them know that you're struggling and you need help. So thank you all for this conversation. And what I want to encourage you guys to do is continue this conversation with all the people in your life, all of your loved ones, especially the young ones, younger people. Continue this conversation. Make them aware of fentanyl and make them aware that there are fentanyl may be in drugs that they are not aware of. They can be exposing themselves to fentanyl unaware. And even the people who are selling the drug to them may be unaware that the fentanyl is in there. So be very careful, be very mindful. Thank you all again for joining me tonight. Just a reminder, we will not be having a show next Sunday. We'll be celebrating the resurrection of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So we will not be having a show on next Sunday, but we will be back in April, and I will put out a list of some of the things that we will talk about in April. April, knowing that April is Autism Awareness Month, and just some other things that we will be discussing. But anyway, thank you for joining me. It has been a great discussion. It has been a great pleasure. Please do more research, and if you have questions, go out there. There's a lot of information, a lot of misinformation about fentanyl. So make sure you get that correct information. I am Juju. I am that mountain moving giant slayer. And until next time, I need to say thank you to Mr. Jackson for helping me as usual. And then I would like to wish you all much love and many blessings. Good night.